How are we, ladies and gentlemen, listeners? Welcome to the Leg Up Australia podcast.
1, 2, 3. Can he do it? The gloves are off. They go toe to toe, blow for blow. He's clear. His big heart pounding. Yes! There's history. Chicago makes it 3 in a row.
Hello, punters, and welcome to another episode of the Leg Up podcast. We're a bit short on members this week, Blake. The Leg Up stable has got a case of the equine influenza, I think. No Adam Campton, no Sam Wood, but the dream team are here. The match race, Blake Johnson, Nick Lloyd.
That's right. You and I, we're the only ones that count. Campo had to go to the races today, which is unfortunate. And Sam, he's got the man flu or something.
I think it's the man flu.
He's got the man flu. It's a bit of a sook, Sam.
Yeah, influenza A, I think he's described it, but man flu.
D.
E. Yeah.
So it's probably the weakest one. Whatever the weakest is.
I would think so. It comes at the top of the first one in. It's the most common. It's the easiest one to get over. Surely.
He's got a sniffle. So you have to stay away. But that's okay. Get well soon, Sam.
Yep, no doubt.
We hope to see you back on deck very soon. We miss you.
Mind you were a bit crook on the weekend.
I was crook.
You're feeling better?
Crook. Yeah. I had like Ebola or something like that.
Ebola.
Yes.
You've been at Burning Man.
Pretty ordinary. But yep, came good. A couple of days. Back at it. It was a good day on Saturday.
It was
Hunting day.
Yeah, I had a good Saturday.
Bit of action. Group 1 racing in Melbourne. First Group 1 of the season in Melbourne.
Yep.
Thnks Stakes.
Yep. We might start on that. And
you want to start on that?
Yeah. Well, we didn't get a chance to do racing reacts this week with your little illness, your little weekend out of the office. But Sam and I, we had a good day in here. You got to catch up and watch a few of the races at home. But what did you make of that Thnks Stakes? I thought it was an absolute cracker. There were so many different horses that looked the winner at different stages in that race. But it was Mr. Brightside. Too strong, 3 wide, no cover. Got the job done. I Wish I Win, Princess Grace, Alligator Blood, they were all there. Amenable had that flashing light from the back, but those first 4 past the post, Blake.
Yeah, very good race. It was weird, bit of a weird one. Anavisto retired out of the race.
Yep.
She'll go to stud now. Usually when you've got Anavisto in a race, first up, it's rock solid pace.
Yes.
Wasn't the case.
No, they went slow, didn't they?
It's a slow pace, which didn't play into Alligator Blood's hands. He's probably a better horse when he's up riding the speed. That's probably a case of Tim Clark not being able to make it down for him. But I would have thought that the stable would have had him really wound up and ready to go first up just based on his trials. But maybe he wasn't. Maybe that's why they didn't want to go at his normal high cruising speed. Maybe he wasn't there. But it did look like a sort of half setup for him. So it's a shame that Tim Clark fell on Friday at Wyong. That was a pretty ordinary day at Wyong. We lost a few of our jocks, Regan Bayliss, who's back this weekend, Tim Clark, and, of course, Jmac rode on the Saturday, rode a treble. We'll get to James soon, but outstanding effort to ride a treble with a broken ankle. But back to the Thnks Stakes. As you said, Mr. Brightside, outstanding win first up, and then he's come here 2 weeks later. So he's gone a really fast race into a slow race, which has helped him, considering he couldn't find cover. He was right there on the speed, 3 deep, no cover, just zipped home. Good win. He's in for an outstanding preparation. He's going to win a really big race. I think he's going to measure up to Weight for Age racing. I Wish I Win, absolutely, positively on track for the Everest. That was perfect first up run for him.
Watching the run live at the 250 when he popped out off their backs, I thought, I'm not on him. He's just going to bolt in here, and he just really peaked on his run at about the 50, and you just thought, all right, well, that's first up 1,400. You've got a 1,200 meter grand final in 6 weeks. You are right where you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And credit to the stable too, and Luke Nolan, perfect ride from the inside alley. But to actually show that intent, a lot of trainers would have just been like, he's not there to win. We'll just flop him out the back from barrier 1 and we'll run on. But they came out during the week. They said, we're there to win. We're there to be competitive. And he made a race of it.
Yeah, well, he was able to settle closer to the lead speed because of the pace of the race.
Yep.
As you said, clearly peaked on his run. I don't actually like. I don't think he was there to win. Even though Stable came out and said that he was there to win, but they have to say that really he was put in favourite to win the race. So, if he was there to win, he would have won the race because he was $1.01 when he pulled off Mr. Brightside's back. But he wasn't there to win. He wasn't wound up. He's got a grand final in a month's time or so. He peeled off his back. He blew out late, and he's going to strip so much fitter for that effort. A fast 1,200 metres is going to suit him really, really well at Randwick. So excited to see that.
Yep, absolutely. Punters, we've got a big show. We're going to have a chat about those horses a little bit more in a minute when we sort of dissect and chat about the Spring Carnival coming up, who we think might be the headline acts. But I suppose before we get to that, the headline acts from the past 5-6 seasons in the sprinting ranks, Nature Strip and Eddie, Blake, they both pulled up stumps on the weekend after their failed efforts in the Concorde. We knew that the end was coming, but I suppose it's time for the new kids on the block to step up. So Nature Strip and Eduardo, right time to retire them?
Yeah, of course. Nature Strip, these two horses definitely deserved another opportunity. They've been at the top of their game for a long time, and Nature Strip, it was only 14 months ago or so that he was over in Ascot and he produced his career best performance. So, it's not like he's hung around for a couple of seasons or anything like that. He returned in Australia. I think he returned, what did he return in, like a Challenge Stakes or something like that? I'm not sure.
It would have been in the spring. So it would have been like the Shorts or the Premier.
Premier. It was one of those two races, but yeah, put like short break, come back, big peak effort, and he went off the boil after that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the usual Everest campaign for him because he went to Ascot. He had to be up for that race. He only got a short break. I think usually they would have went Shorts, Challenge, Everest or something like that. So maybe they did miss the Shorts and go straight into the Challenge or vice versa, something like that. But it was a different campaign, and it probably Waller's sort of a pattern trainer, and you can be forgiving of him for going off the boil there.
Yep.
And then
I'm just having a look now at his form. You go back 2 years ago, 2021 spring, when he won the Everest. He had 2 barrier trials leading in. He went the Concorde, which he raced in on Saturday. Then he went to the Shorts where he ran second, and then he won the Everest third up. 12 months ago, coming back from that Royal Ascot stint, he had 1 barrier trial, went into the Shorts first up, which he won, and then started $1.90 favourite in the Everest second up. He got that wide run. Eduardo held him out there, and he looked the winner up the rise, but obviously the wide run took its toll late, and those back markers came off the hot speed. So you're right, like completely different setup. You only go 12 months ago, and he was odds on in an Everest.
Yeah, that's right. And Eduardo, I think they've clashed 13 times or something like that. It might have been 7-5, something, or 7-6, 8-5.
Yeah,
I think Nature Strip had It wasn't 7-6. It wasn't that close. I think Nature Strip might have won 8-5, something like that. But Eduardo, probably had the edge over Nature Strip at stages over 1,000 meters.
Yep.
Even though early days in Nature Strip's career, they thought he was a 1,000-meter horse, 1,100, and Wallach stretched him to that 1,200. But Eduardo, I didn't think he started racing until he was a 4-year-old or something like that. So he's a very lightly raced 10-year-old. I think he'd only had 20.
Well, it would have
late
towards
20
the
starts,
end. He would have
30
had to
something
have
starts, maybe
got up there a bit. But you're right. He started his career late in Melbourne. Always showed a bit of ability, and then it wasn't until he got to Joe Pride's stable that.
Well, he went off the boil. He showed a lot of ability early days. I reckon he started a very well-backed favourite in like an Oakley Plate or something like that early days. But yeah, he definitely gone to a new level with Joe Pride, and And you saw Nash look after him over the concluding stages. He wasn't beaten far. That race has gone super. Remarks him for a terrific campaign. Returned to gelding. Last preparation. Put up a big win first up with 62 kilos on his back. He's done the exact same here. So now it's just about reproducing. Can he produce it over 1,200 metres? Does he deserve an Everest slot? I would say 1,000% he gets an Everest slot.
I think if you go back through and you look at Everest winners and their preparations, I know Redzel used the Concorde twice to win his first two. Nature Strip obviously used the Concorde the year that he won it. Classique Legend, I believe, went to the Concorde. I mean, obviously it's the first of the main lead-ups, but a lot of horses can wait and just go Premier Shorts Everest, but a lot of winners have come through that Concorde and been winning the Concorde first up, so bad not to.
Oh, 100%. I think In Secret's in for a terrific preparation as well. She usually improves off what she does first up.
For her to do that over 1,000 metres as well, that was the big thing for me to go, wow, she is right on track. Before we talk too much more about them, I want to put yourself in the shoes of John or Paul Massara at Arrowfield. They've obviously got an Everest slot. They locked in Marzu before last year's running for a 2-year contract. So Marzu's locked in that Arrowfield and Star. If you're the Massaras, do you look and sort of maybe try and get out of that contract with Marzu so that you can run your own horse in Remark in your slot, knowing that Marzu probably gets picked up by someone else? Or now that you've got Marzu, do you sort of have your fingers in a few pies and try and get Remark in someone else's slot and sort of run that risk of maybe not actually getting a slot with him?
Well, I don't think there's any type of risk at this stage of Remark not getting a slot. Yes, they locked in Marzu early in regards to 2 years.
Which we hadn't seen before.
No, we've never seen that before. I'm just looking at him. He's a gelding as well. I was going to say I wasn't sure if he was still a horse or not, so I wouldn't have been surprised if there was a backhand deal.
Yeah.
Like if he was still a horse, you come to Arrowfield after your career's finished, considering he's with Triple Crown. But that is not the case because he's a gelding. So he's not going to get too many mares in foal. No, I don't think they'd be too concerned about it. I think Remark can come out and frank that form again. There's no other, like he would be a genuine winning chance.
Yep.
So how many horses do they run in it? They run 12. They run 12. So there's 12 slots.
Yep. So obviously we've got Think About It, Giga Kick, I Wish I Win, and Marzu are the 4 locked in. Coolmore have got a slot, so we're assuming Shinzo. Godolphin have got a slot, so we assume In Secret.
I would say actually Cylinder.
Okay.
I'd say Cylinder, and I would say In Secret runs in the race as well.
Right.
There's somebody will pick her up because they'll want the colt. They haven't wanted the colt to win the race in the past.
Yeah.
But look at a horse like Yes. He wasn't a Group 1 winner, but
no,
he's one of the most desired sires out there now, and he's won an Everest. So I think the Group 1 status of the Everest, it's a bit wishy-washy now. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you take an Everest over a random Group 1 that,
I think
example,
especially
Golden Mile won last year.
Yeah, I think especially if Cylinder can win the Golden Rose, 2-3 weeks before the Everest, then he's got the Group 1 on his page already.
True.
It's sort of like, all right, now we can go Everest and we can go Coolmore 3 weeks after that, 2 weeks after that. So.
And they did that. Well, they didn't do that, but
Yes went Golden Rose back to the Everest.
Yes,
and Jacquinot
did it last year.
Last year ran well,
and I think he was well liked by the market too.
Yeah,
ran well. Yep.
It's interesting. Like, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge still. We've got a few of the main lead ups. Overpass, he's one that you would think he always goes good fresh, so he goes for the shorts.
There is a few horses there. It is really interesting. This is going to be an Everest with a lot of winning chances.
I think so.
A lot of winning chances. The horse that we've forgotten about is Lost and Running.
Yes, agree.
He's a chance of getting a slot. Like, I know he was going to start second or third favourite in the race last year.
Yep.
I think he pulled up with it. He had a temperature the morning of the race, and then they run him in the winners the week later, and he failed.
Yep.
And then last preparation, nothing went right for him last preparation. He set up the speed in that TJ Smith.
Was it the TJ or the all-aged?
All-aged.
All-aged.
It might have been the all-aged, yeah. He took off.
Took off under Tom Marquand.
Yeah, took off. And we didn't see the best of him that campaign, but have you seen his trial?
Yeah.
Trial very good.
I did. Made him the trial star for members.
Oh, did you? Good,
yeah.
Good. I should be looking out for those posts. But, yeah, he's back in really good order. So interested to see him at the track. I'm not sure where they go with him first up, but he's a very good horse.
I think they're going Premier next weekend into the shorts, into the Everest, which is the same path that he took 12 months ago, which saw him close to favourite not favourite, but second favourite.
He was a well back second favourite, I reckon.
It just hurt because I was on him at like $18 in the Everest. And
you better back up this year. So
I might have to. I had something on him, the sprint series market where it's the Concorde, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Concorde, Shorts, Premier, Everest, Sydney Stakes, and that winners. I've had something on him in that. Okay. Because if he comes out firing, he probably would have won that last year if he didn't. I think if he won that winners stakes where he was favourite, even after missing the run in the Everest, he would have won it. But anyway, the Everest, it's coming up. We're going to see Giga Kick. We're going to see I Wish I Win there. We want to know, is there a horse that can really stamp himself or herself this spring and come out and say, I'm the best horse in the country at the moment? Does Mr. Brightside at the moment, he's probably winning the race in terms of best horses we've seen, best performances so far, I would say, this spring. But a lot of the better horses are right around the corner. Giga Kick returns in the McEwen on Saturday against Imperatriz. We saw I Wish I Win first up. Is there a horse that you're really looking forward to
I wouldn't say Mr. Brightside is number one contender. Yep. I would say that he's knocking down the door, but you wouldn't say that. I couldn't say that he's really ticked. Has he ticked the Wait for Age box yet? I know he won a Memsey on Saturday. But
yeah, I guess he won an All-Star Mile at Wait for Age.
Yeah,
but
which turned into the best. Which turned into some of the best. That's one of the best form races for the autumn, but it's a form race for a handicap. So you want to be on the All-Star Mile runners that run in the Doncaster. Yeah. I think the trifecta's come through that race in the last 2 years or something along those lines.
Yeah, that'd probably be about right.
Mr. Brightside's won 2 Doncasters, both handicaps. Great race. Mm-hmm. Like Sunline's a horse that won multiple Doncasters. She turned into a Wait for Age star. I have no doubt that he'll measure up to Wait for Age, but I can't say that he's a Wait for Age star yet. I think that
I don't think he's really had his.
He hasn't had a chance. No.
Like you look at like the Cox Plate, he wasn't beaten all that far, but I think he is an elite miler.
I do think that he's one of the best horses in the country, definitely at the moment. So top 3, he'd be my number one contender for that miler spot. Just what he did first up, to back that up second up in a slower race. I think we're going to look for like third up, fourth up. Well, when does he hit that King Charles race? Fourth up. I think we're going to see an explosion from him that day. Yep. I think
that's going to be a cracking race. Like it's the undercard on to the Everest. But gee whiz, if you end up with Mr. Brightside, Fangirl, Alligator Bloods, Princess Grace, all those horses, think it over.
Zaki.
Is
that Zaki's race? I'm not sure.
I would think so. 2 weeks before a Cox Plate, you'd have to think so. Like that's just mouthwatering.
It's going to be a cracking race. So he'd be my number one seed there at the moment. Yep. Even though Fangirl didn't do anything wrong, but I just think that there's a big question mark over that Sydney Wait for Age form at the moment, because
I know Princess Grace came out of that race and ran second, but she deserved to do that, I think, and had the run to do that on the weekend. But
I think Fangirl and Princess Grace were probably the 2 best runs in the Wink Stakes first up, and remove those from that form, sort of all of them behind was a little bit bunched.
Yep.
Even though Fangirl did a terrific job and she's the heir to the NMO throne. So no knock on the win.
Yep.
I just think the form behind her is a little bit wishy-washy, considering that horse of David Payne's come out and won the
Navajo Peak won the Chelmsford.
Yeah, I backed him in a midway last preparation, and he started $5 and got beat.
Yeah.
So
how about David Payne post-race in the interview? He came out and said, "I've always thought he's one of the most underrated horses in the country." I almost fell over because I saw him. Obviously, I do most of my form in Queensland races. They brought him up here, I think maybe subsequent to that midway failure, and he won a race where he was thrown in, and on paper he was a dead set moral. And we had a bit of a conversation with my mates when he was in that Thnks Stakes first up. Someone said, "What on earth is Navajo Peak doing in the acceptances for a Group 1 weight for age race?" And I said, yeah, it might be the perfect lead up to a Toowoomba Cup at the end of September. And then he's come out and beaten them all in the Chelmsford. So I suppose hats off to Mr. Payne. I think it's his 4th Chelmsford win, but yeah, jury's out on those horses behind Montefilia, Jmac.
Definitely. I think the jocks got it wrong, because I was on Lindemann, and I was like, oh, they've gone out hard here, and he's knocked up, and Navajo Peaks just landed in the perfect spot behind him and got the better of him late, but they went slow.
Yeah.
Like, that race has gone so bad, and I'll be interested to see how the form stacks up out of that race. But back to your question, the horse that I think will stamp himself as the best horse in the country is I Wish I Win. I just think he's a superstar. And
you've drummed on about that for a little while, like that you came out early and said he's the best horse in the country. I think that might have been, was that after he got beaten in the Lightning? You were still pretty happy to sort of say that.
I think that might have been after the Lightning run, and then he ran well behind In Secret in the Newmarket, giving him more weight, and then he came out and won the TJ, got over the top of Giga Kick. Fantastic performance, and then first up here he's gone really well, but I just don't think we can judge him on that, considering I would suggest he was 80% right for that race. So 100% right on Everest Day. I'll be interested to see where we're at with him, how good he is.
I'm just having a look at the Everest market now. Obviously Giga Kick is the favourite. He's $3.50. I Wish I Win $4.80. Is that about right, or would you have them the other way around, or even just sort of joint $4 favourites?
Oh, I think Giga Kick should be favourite, considering I think he definitely started shorter than I Wish I Win in that TJ, and then he went to Queensland, and that TJ, that form, the TJ, like, you can't say that's a true reflection of the market, because it was a heavy 9 that day. Like, you don't know what's going to play out on a good surface. And then Giga Kick afterthoughts gone and won a Doomben 10,000. We get to see him return here or at Moonee Valley first up over 1,000 metres, which is going to be very interesting because like, he was huge first up last preparation over 1,000 metres, I think. And he bungled the start and produced some of the lightning last 800 metres, last 600 metres. So I don't think there's much between them. If I was like, I think Giga Kick deserves to be favourite, but that's based on what he's done, what he's started in the market previously. But I think the other bloke is a better horse.
Yep. My horse of the spring that's going to be a little bit left field and probably falls under a different category from horse of the spring as such, but I think a 3-year-old that can really, really sort of stamp himself as a proper animal is V8. We saw him back on the weekend win the McNeil Stakes at Caulfield, one of the first sort of Caulfield Guineas lead-ups. He beat Legacies, who she probably is the Flight Stakes filly, I think, bringing that different form from Melbourne. But he's going to be third up into a Caulfield Guineas. I think he's the horse to beat there. And I sort of suggested, I made a bit of a reel during the week and said, I'm going to have something on him in the Cox Plate because he can put himself into the race. He's going to be a 3-year-old under the weight for age conditions of that Cox Plate. And I don't necessarily think we're in for a really vintage year of the Cox Plate, especially with that King Charles 2 weeks before with the milers. You might not see the likes of, Zaki and Mr. Brightside go into a Cox Plate, even if they've got that 2 weeks, and then there's the Champions Stakes Day 2 weeks after that. So I'm sort of keen to find V8.
That's fine.
In the Cox Plate. Like he
That's
might not win it, but I think he can really sort of come out and stamp himself as a proper 3-year-old.
Well, if you can run well in a Caulfield Guineas,
that's right.
run well in a Cox Plate.
He's by Grunt, who is by O'Reilly, so the 2,000 metre box shouldn't be an issue. I know Grunt never won over 2,000, but he only got tried in it once, and he got beaten by Winks in a Turnbull. So
not bad form.
Not bad form.
But yeah, like last year, the Caulfield Guineas was an anomaly. It wasn't the race that it has been in the past.
And those horses, if they wanted to step up to the weight for age, they had to beat Enemo, I'm Thunderstruck, Zaki, Alligator Blood, Mr. Bright. So like they're 5 of the best weight for age horses in the world.
I'd be surprised if Alligator Blood, or not Alligator Blood, Mr. Brightside's not there in the Cox Plate.
Oh,
I'd also be surprised if Alligator Blood's not there.
It sounds like they're both going there. Yeah,
I think that they'd both be there. And I think this could be Mr. Brightside's year, but we'll see.
Yeah, be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, Kovalik is back as well.
Well, I think the boys have got a big edge on the girls in the 3-year-old stakes.
Yes,
I think the New South Wales fillies, outside of Komochi, are pretty ordinary bunch.
Well, that's what I think if Legacies goes to Sydney for the flight, which it sounds like they're going Golden Rose into the flight, I think she brings that different form. She's been dominant against the boys back in a 2-year-old season, and then came out and went super first up with
with the Golden Rose. If you can go through a Golden Rose into a flight stakes, that's going to be red hot form.
Yeah, definitely. Jmac, he's been ruled out for a month, right in the middle of the spring. Well, not quite the middle of the spring, but certainly the first quarter. Big effort to obviously he fell off at Wyong. If you missed that last Friday on Wyong Gold Cup Day, rode the Saturday. He got cleared by the vets Saturday morning. Came out.
The vets cleared
The vets cleared him. Yeah, they ran the scope over him. The doctors cleared him on the Saturday morning, and he was limping around, apparently wearing a bigger riding boot than he normally would. And then on the Sunday or the Monday, they came out and said, "Sorry, Jmac, but you've broken your foot or you sprained your ankle, whatever it was, and you're gonna have 4 weeks out of the saddle." So
very tough, James. All the people that were on Casablanca in the last, they should send you a thank you card because
a little bit of a
he
sling.
got plenty out of Casablanca.
Well, I rolled my ankle at touch football and I couldn't get up the stairs last week. So for him to come out and ride 3 winners,
broken, yeah, good effort, isn't it?
Great effort.
Oh, I broke my hand once playing footy. Played the second half.
Did you? Is that when you kicked that winning conversion? You don't need your hand for a goal kick, but
winning conversion. Oh, is that the one Marlowe took?
Yeah,
we actually lost that game. I wish that was a winning conversion, but no. I don't think I played very well. I was just a bit of a spectator. But, yeah, great effort by James. So out for a month.
Is there a jockey that can really step up in that Sydney? Obviously, like you've got your Nashville Willers and all the big guns. Karen McAvoy, he's probably out of form, but he's still an elite jockey.
I think
Schofield.
I think the one that's really going to stand up is Nash. Nash is going to get all those
Yep.
top-notch rides. You can see him on Saturday. He's on Cylinder. You would have thought James would have probably been on Cylinder.
Yep.
There was another good Godolphin ride that he
Tom.
Golden
Mile.
Mile.
I think he can win.
Tom. But he rode Tom first up, didn't he?
He did.
He rode Tom first up. So Golden Mile. And then you got blokes like I'm not sure who James would have rode in the Scirocco, whether he would have rode Zugocho or he would have rode Zapateo.
Did he? He didn't ride IME first up, did he?
No, I think Tim Clark rode IME first up.
Yeah.
So opportunity there. I think who's taken over there, Matty? Adam Hieronymus has got a ride for Godolphin on Saturday. He's riding. Red Card in the last.
Oh, yes. She goes good. She's a jet.
Yeah, she goes good. That's a really good race in the last race. Airman, who's got a big last 600 on him, and also Smashing Eagle's got a big last 600 on him. So she goes good as well. So she's the one that's going to put herself on the speed. But good opportunity there for Adam Hieronymus to get a ride for Godolphin, you wouldn't have thought that James must have been booked for that horse. And then you got Zach Lloyd's going to ride Zapateo. I think that potentially is an opportunity that he wouldn't have had unless James was going to ride Zugotcha in that race, which I think Jason Collett's on Zugotcha. But yeah, I think the big beneficiaries over this next month are Nash. I think Nash is going to probably get more plum rides because James is out. I think Hippo's going to get a few extra rides for some different stables that he might not have got opportunities with. I think Zach Lloyd's going to get some plum rides as well. And then you've got another bloke like Jason Collett, who is one of the best jockeys to weave a passage.
Like a sniper, isn't he?
I think he has a very good ability to not lose momentum.
Yeah.
He can just he can see it a couple of plays ahead, I think.
Yep.
Jace.
Yep. Speaking of seeing the play, a couple of sort of plays ahead and building momentum and picking the runs, did you get a chance to watch Blake Shin on Solcombe on
You told me to
Saturday?
watch it. I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it.
Walk me through it.
Well, so Solcombe and Sir Lucan, the two sort of horses in the Aussie Kerr colours, the navy with the champagne spots. And Sir Lucan was one that I half wanted to find earlier in the week, and I left it alone. And I said to Sam, we were sitting on the couch watching the race, and Solcombe was back dead and buried, back, second last on the fence. And I thought it was Sir Lucan at one point, and I thought Sir Lucan would be the leader. And I made the comment to Sam, I said, geez, I'm glad I'm not on Sir Lucan, because from back there, it just can't win. But nevertheless, that horse ended up winning, and it ended up being Solcombe. And the ride from Blake Shin, he did not use the whip. It was like watching Mario Kart, like someone play Mario Kart, just driving in and out of traffic. Like it was just textbook, and the horse was super strong. It's like if he had been able to hold a position and got out in clear air, he wins by 3 or 4.
So he won that 2,800 on Melbourne Cup Day.
No, he won the
Australian debut. Is that him?
2,600, the Queen Elizabeth, they call it, on the Saturday after.
Saturday after.
So White Marlin won the 2,800 on
that
Cup
was White
Day,
Marlin.
and then Solcombe won the race on the Saturday, beat Luncey's.
Yep.
And then went off the ball in the autumn.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
went really
did.
bad. We saw him get back to Melbourne and run at Flemington in the Roy Higgins behind Goldman, where he got a long way back and hit the line really well. And it was strong late, but they've said that he's just a Melbourne horse now. They don't want to take him back to Sydney, so he's going to have a full Melbourne prep.
So with Dabble, he's actually second favourite to win the Melbourne Cup now, $10. I think that's a little bit of an overreaction, but
in saying that, he was the favourite after that win. Obviously, things have changed. He got out, but I suppose if you ignore his autumn, he's sort of been at the top of betting the whole time.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We're actually going to see the Melbourne Cup winner go round on Saturday.
Oh, no, I don't think Vauban's having another run before the Cup.
Yeah, Francesco Guardi goes around in the Fian Stakes. He's my horse for the Melbourne Cup. Likes Moonee Valley.
Mm-hmm. One of Valley.
To him there. He did to Lunar Flare there. That was over 2,500 metres. But I think he's a little bit disrespected by the market in that Fian. $18 with Dabble. I think he can run a race. He was really good in that Wink Stakes first up. He was in the wrong part of the track.
He just potted the form.
Yeah.
He was one of them.
He is.
He's got the asterisk next to it. He's the exception to the rule.
Well, he's an asterisk because 1,400 metres and he's a stayer resuming. So
that's right.
We're not going to expect too much out of him, and it's okay if he can be in that little bunch finish. I got a question mark over the Winks form in regard to weight for age miles and weight for age mile and a quarter races. But this horse is going to go to Moonee Valley. He's not going to be wound up, but I would be disappointed if he's not hitting the line very hard.
Is this? I know Chris Waller came out and said that the Caulfield Cup, I think his direct quote was he'll probably start favourite in the Melbourne Cup after he wins the Caulfield Cup. But going to the Fian at Moonee Valley, it's a Cox Plate qualifier. Is this almost a sign that maybe they go to the Cox Plate instead of the Caulfield Cup? I don't think they go to the
Cox Plate, no.
Even though the Cox Plate's produced like the last 4 Melbourne Cup winners, last 3?
No.
Chris doesn't look too much into that.
Nah, doesn't matter. What's the difference? Like in my opinion, if he wins a Caulfield Cup,
he gets a weight penalty for starters.
He does, but he's not going to be. He's not at the top of the weight scale. Like we're not worrying about a weight penalty for him.
Yeah,
the Melbourne Cup weights haven't been released yet.
A couple of weeks away.
I think he's won a Group 2. He's
probably
probably
like
only going to scrape into a Melbourne Cup anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think Chris is really worried about penalties. Like a horse like Gold Trip, I know he ran second in a Caulfield Cup and backed up. Well, the last Melbourne Cup winners come through a Caulfield Cup as well, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
But bit of both. Doesn't matter.
That's an each way bet. But yeah, like if this Gold Trip, he probably still wins the Cup because he was so impressive. Yeah. But if he had got 1.5 kilos in the Melbourne Cup, that would have been.
That last
he ran second. He only
win.
got grabbed in that last stride. So he went very close to winning a Caulfield Cup. But yeah, I don't think penalties for a horse like Francesco Guardi is something that anyone needs to be worrying about.
No, very fair. Very, very fair, Blake. Anything to leave the punters with? I think that's a good look into the Spring Carnival because the juices are flowing, especially this weekend.
I'm excited.
There's some really, really sort of progressive horses back this weekend. We've seen the Wait for Age Stars sort of back and had their runs, and now this weekend you get to see Globe, unbeaten galloper in the fee, and you get to see Kovalika come back in the Theo Marks, who he's one of my favourites.
Stop with Kovalika.
Well, he can't win on Saturday, but he can win the Cox Plate.
Yeah,
Epsom.
You've got a ticket on him. I
think it's that sort of week, isn't it, where we get to see Gigi Kick back. Gigi Kick's proven, but he's still up and coming.
It's
almost
very interesting to see Gigi Kick back. That's one of the most highly anticipated races for me on the weekend.
Yeah, that's a real sort of class versus setup, that sort of race, isn't it? Because you've got Imperatriz and Gigi Kick, who 1,000 metres Mooney Valley might be little question marks, and then you've got Rothfire and Zoostyle from Queensland. Rothfire won this race last year. Zoostyle ran second. They beat Home Cool and Gatta over the 1,000 at the Valley, and she went on and won at Moya. Subsequent to that,
they're very dangerous. He's not a good thing. I wouldn't be diving in at that $1.85 or whatever's available. But yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a great weekend's racing.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, punters. If you want to know who we're tipping this weekend, you can get all of the feature race tips on Locked In. That'll be out after this. We'll go over the fee and we'll go over the Theo Marks, the Run to the Rose, the McEwen. We'll preview that a little bit more in depth. And this man to my left, he is flying in members only. So get over, grab a free month where we run about 245 units in August. So it was an absolute fill up.
It was. So yeah, if you want to be a better.
Yep.
Learn more about the punt. Jump on members only. Links are available everywhere. So follow us on the Leg Up on Facebook and Instagram, all those social media sites.
Yes.
Platforms. Jump on, and if not, just head over to our website, thelegupaustralia.com.
Beautiful. Thank you.
See you, punters.